As always, we appreciate so many of you that submit questions. We're getting like a bunch every day now. So we're trying to get to them. I appreciate y'all continuing to send them in. You can also do so online on our social media at always CFB. But the best way to contribute to our mailbag is always collegefootball@gmail.com. Coops, where are we going today?
All right, first question comes from Patrick in Florida. Do you feel FSU has to beat LSU to give you confidence going into the Clemson game? Also, is the LSU or Clemson game more important? Which win would have more impact on recruiting?
Well, great question. And without trying to sound like a prisoner of the moment, just understand where I'm coming from here, okay? The LSU game has absolutely nothing to do with the Clemson game. Do not connect the dots. Two very different situations. To win the conference championship, to ultimately get to the college football playoff, I think you have to win at least one of the two. But if they play poorly against LSU, it's not going to make me feel really badly about their matchup with Clemson a couple weeks later. We'll start with that. So we'll disconnect those two games for a moment. Here's where I stand on the Florida State LSU game. This is the most important game in Mike Norvell's tenure up to this point. It is the most important. And you're going to say, Greg, it's week one. Like, how can you be such a prisoner of the moment? How can you put this game on such a pedestal? Here's why. There has been tremendous momentum created for Florida State this entire offseason. They've done a great job in the portal. They're doing a great job as it relates to high school recruiting. Everything seems to be going in the direction that FSU is going to be back. I believe they are. If they lose the game against LSU in what I think is a pseudo home game right there in Orlando, it could disrupt some of the momentum that has been created already. I'm not going to say all of a sudden that Mike Norvell is going to be in job security, turmoil, or he's going to be on the hot seat. No, not at all, because they can still, even if they lose that game, they can accomplish everything they need to accomplish. I don't need to go back all the way to 2014, but y'all remember when Ohio State lost to Virginia Tech in week 2, everyone said Ohio State's done. They have no chance. This JT Barrett guy is not Braxton Miller. Like, they're not going to be able to run the table. Well, they did. They won 14 in a row, 13 in a row, and won the national championship. So it doesn't mean that Florida State can't still accomplish all their goals. They can, but in order to keep the pedal down, Mike Norvell has been in a full sprint since they won the bowl game last year, and they've played beautifully. They really have. They've played beautifully last year at times. But if you can't beat LSU, a program that, look, Florida State ultimately wants to win national championships. Brian Kelly is in year number 2 at LSU. If they're already ahead of Florida State, that's going to cause a little bit of a bad taste in Florida State Seminoles fans' mouths for the entire season. So I think that's a massive one. Not just for Florida State, but for the ACC as well. People have said the SEC is the grand poobah. People have said the SEC is the end-all, be-all, and the SEC West is a ridiculously deep league. Well, if Florida State goes and gets a win in week 1, think about how much that's going to prop up and make it a reality that Florida State is back. It won't be about talk anymore. It'll be about the result. So I think that is the most important game of the Mike Norvell tenure. If they can get it done, it'll go a long way in altering the perception of where Florida State is and where they're ultimately going.
Very true. And plus, they could get a rematch with Clemson in the ACC championship game if they were to lose that game in September.
Yeah, I mean, the Clemson game has nothing to do with the Florida State. Like, we'll try to, the Clemson and LSU game, we're going to try to connect the dots. Of course we will. Why wouldn't we? We watch and listen and talk college football all day, every day, but they really, one shouldn't affect the other regardless of what the circumstances are.
And I think, by the way, you hit the nail on the head with the overall perception of the ACC. It's been Clemson and everybody else. If Florida State can go in and beat LSU, that conference all of a sudden gets a boost with 2 top 5, 10 teams. So
yep.